Thank you so much. Okay. What do we got? And then the next one, sartorius. The sartorius is this skinny muscle. It starts from the outside and goes to the inside of the knee. So it is number, I probably just covered it. What number is that? 24? Okay, number 24. This skinny muscle, but it starts laterally and then goes to the inside of the knee. That is sartorius. Sartorius was also known as the tailor's muscle. That's how it was so named, because if you're sewing, apparently, you flex the thigh, but you also rotate it, like you cross your, I want to say cross your legs, but it's really crossing your thighs. So it was so named sartorius for that reason. And I think you have a question about that. Yeah, 189, question number 2. So it's talking about legs crossed, which really technically we're talking thigh cross. So that would be sartorius. Not only does it just flex and bring you forward, but it also rotates. So 2 is sartorius. Now our other thigh flexor was the one on page 188. That was tensor fascia latae. The coffee muscle, I like to say. That is lateral. It's here. It is number 18. That is tensor fascia latae. 18. Tensor fascia latae. No, lateral. Get on the other side. Yes, yes. Wait, no, just there. Yep. Tensor fascia latae. 18. Yep. Okay, everybody good? You got it? All right, so those all flex the thigh. Now, there is one antagonist to that, and that is the gluteus maximus, what you think of as your buttock muscle. But there's actually 3 gluteus muscles. You're going to be learning 2. Okay, there's actually a gluteus maximus, a gluteus medius. You're going to do those 2, but there's also a minimus, which is deep. We're not doing that one. So gluteus maximus is on page 188. The action extends the thigh. So when you extend the thigh, well, if I started here and I bring it back to normal, that's extension. But if you continue back, it's also a form of extension, like hyperextension. And of course, in a picture, in the practical, we have to over-exaggerate. So if it comes forward at all, you're going to say flexion. Say one of those 4 flexors. For extension, we'll want to make it obvious, and we'll actually pull it back so you know for sure it's extended. So if you see that, that's gluteus maximus. So if you do exercises, this sort of thing, you feel it in that area because you're extending.
Like lunges.
Okay, so that's flexion and extension. With squats, you're working everything. But if you want to focus on just the maximus, if you do squats or you do the machines where you push, you're doing numerous muscles, including the maximus. But just the maximus primarily when you're just doing that. Anyway, side note. So that's flexion, extension. Now the thigh can also ab and adduct. Abduct, away, adduct, ADD, back together. So in pictures, if we want abduction, it will definitely be a thigh out. Doesn't matter what my leg is doing, because I'm not asking about the leg. If the thigh is out to the side at all, it's abduction. For adduction, all of this is adduction, but in a picture, I would just have them where they're just together straight, like anatomical position, and then you could do, it's adducted. Again, in the pictures, we have to over-exaggerate so you know for sure what we're looking for. All right, so let's start with the muscles that abduct with a B. So go back to page 187. Those bottom 3. The bottom 3 are all synergist of each other because they all add. Oh, I said I was going to start with abduction. Okay, well, let's continue with what we're doing. These are adductors. So they bring it together, add it together. I'm sorry, ADD. So the bottom three are synergists of each other. They all adduct the thigh. Adduct. So they're bringing it back to anatomical position. Okay, so a lot of times, well, you know when we did flexion, most of the muscles for flexion were on the front. F for flexion, F for front. Yes, that's how you move, but it's also where most of those muscles will be found, on the front, because when they contract, it pulls you towards the front. So same with the adductors. Typically your adductors will be the inner thigh, medial thigh, so when they contract, it pulls that way.
So that like that workout machine that makes you go like
Yes, that's what these are focusing on, ab and adduction.
Yeah.
And then usually the muscles of abduction will be more on the side. So when they contract, it pulls that way, and you abduct. But we're doing adduction now, so muscles will mostly be here, pulls for adduction. So that means we need to look at the medial thigh. How do you know it's medial? Look for the big toe. Big toe is always medial. That's the side we want to be. Okay, now, there's one that goes straight down as medial in the thigh as you could get. This is called the gracilis. It is number 27. I mean, as medial as you could be. It's a stripe that goes straight down. 27, gracilis. Yep.
This one?
Yeah, it really is a strip.
Yes. How about over there? Do you guys have it?
I don't.
Okay, on the thigh?
We got different numbers.
All right. You guys should bring one model over to look at too. While we're doing this. Yes.
Number 27.
Okay, then you're gonna have you have two different adductors. You're gonna have one on each side of the gracilis. One to the front, one to the back. So the one, let's start with the one to the front. That will be adductor longus. So go right in front, that's stripe 26. Right in front of the gracilis, this is adductor longus, 26.
This one. What is it?
Yeah.
Oh, 24. That's 24. Remember, it's this.
You guys have it?
This is the serratorius.
Yes, good.
This one is
Okay, how about over there?
adductor long.
Yes? Okay, good, yep,
Adductor long.
Yep. Okay, good.
Gracilis.
Adductor longus. So that means the one on the back, which is 28, will be the other adductor. So the 28, behind, posterior to the gracilis, is adductor magnus. Adductor magnus is 28. Oh, I see what you're doing. That's a good idea. Yeah. Okay, now I see what you got the tape for. Now I understand what's going on. Sometimes people will label them themselves, like she's doing,
Okay, that's a good
for practice.
Good idea.
Yeah, it is a very good idea. Okay, everybody good?
So
They have adductor magnus. Magnus is the one in the back.
the one in the back. This one? Oh.
Yep.
Okay. So
Okay.
they're all together.
Exactly. Yep, they're all three together.
Obviously. Because they're working
And they're
together.
all synergists. Exactly.
They,
What's that?
No, they adduct.
No, they adduct.
Adduct.
So when they contract, it pulls your thigh this way, in towards your body.
Yeah.
Together.
No, together.
Abduction is like abduction with a B, take away. But when you add, bring it back together. So these are adductors, as the name implies. Adductor magnus, adductor longus is definitely adduction of the thigh. So yes, they're all together. So I always think gracilis in the
This is the
middle,
gracilis
and then
in
I
the
know I have an adductor on each side. I have a little trick to memorize which is which,
sandwich.
or to know the magnus is the one in the back, but we have to do other things before I can tell you that trick.
Okay.
Okay, so those are synergists of each other. They all adduct the thigh. Now, we need our antagonist. Turn to page 188. there are two antagonists, which means the antagonist would be the abductors. They take away. So your abductors are tensor fasciae latae and the gluteus medius. Yep, tensor fasciae latae we already did it because it was a flexor. So tensor fasciae latae was 18 lateral.
Oh, that flat one.
So we know it's a flexor. This is one though that has two actions. And remember, if they have two actions, you have to have both. So if I point to the tensor fasciae latae and I say, what is the action of this muscle? It is flex and abducts. Half credit. What body part? The thigh. Other half credit. Just like it says right there. Flexes and abducts. You have to have both for that credit. And then the body part is the other half, which would be the thigh. Okay, now the other abductor is gluteus medius. Now, to be honest with you, I like gluteus medius on the mini muscle man. I think it's easier to distinguish between the medius and the maximus. There's no number for medius, but if you look, the maximus first, find the maximus. That's like the definite buttock. It sticks out a little bit more. It's more posterior. That's gluteus maximus. If you go above that, like right below the white part, which would be the iliac crest, top of that coxal bone, go right underneath that. That is the gluteus medius. It doesn't have a number. So it's better seen to me on this mini muscle man than on that, because what do you have primarily there? Gluteus maximus. But we want medius, so I really want you to see the difference. So this is gluteus medius. So gluteus medius is the area like that you would consider your lower back, not the buttock. That's maximus. Above that, like lower back area, is gluteus medius. Okay? So the mini muscle man model,
This is gluteus
I like
maximus,
that.
gluteus medius.
because I'll be able to point way much further up. You can see it's right underneath the iliac crest, gluteus medius. Gluteus maximus down here,
So where will you
gluteus
put
medius
the thing for the maximum?
further down.
Okay.
How do you work them?
Yeah, it sticks out a little more. And that maximus does have a number on it, I believe. What that says, but 19 in the model. Anyway, okay. So, those are all the movements of the thigh. Yep, flexors, extensors, ab, and adductors.
You said the medius does what? In terms of movement? Abducts.
Abducts the thigh.
Oh, the medius abducts the thigh.
Because think about it, when you're raising that, it's kind of, it kind of goes opposite itself because it's turning, because the muscle's flat.
Abducts would be like this.
Take a
Yeah,
A
but
muscle here.
that muscle's here. So if you're putting this leg, it's pinching backwards, not inwards. So technically, that's abduction.
Abduction.
Because
originates.
like,
Because
it's
I thought
like,
that was extension.
cause it's like this. This is like your butt, and then when you put your leg, it's essentially going like this. Like it's not coming together. It's going opposite.
Oh.
All right, with this whole section, we only have one asterisk. So that is on page 188, gluteus medius.
Even though
That means origin and insertion.
I was wondering if it was a typo because even though that the tensor fasciae latae inserts onto the aponeurosis.
Well, actually, we do have to do the iliotibial tract. That actually should be in bold. But you don't have to know that as insertion and origin because they're only doing insertion there. But that is something we have to do.
Okay.
So I'll do that next. But gluteus medius is definite origin and insertion. And so just read the book. Origin originates. You can just say of the ilium. You don't have to say lateral surface. So origin on the ilium, which is the top part of the coxal bone. And insertion on the greater trochanter. You don't actually have to say of the femur because there is no other greater trochanter than on the femur. So when it's something like that, you don't have to say of the bone name. If it were like a condyle or epicondyle, then you have to tell which bone because there's more than one. But greater trochanter, it's always femur. So just say insertion, greater trochanter. Remember that was the big ridge? You had the head, and then you have those two ridges. Okay, now, the other thing was on page 188, under tensor fascia latae, within that reading, you see iliotibial tract. You need to know that. You just need to identify it. I'm not going to ask you what it does or what it inserts with, but it is an aponeurosis. Remember, an aponeurosis is like a tendon but flat. So you have several of these. We looked at one in the epicranius. Here's another one. But this one you have to know by name. So it is, find the tensor fascia latae. Tensor fascia latae, thank you, 18 on the side. Okay, it is attached to that. So it's the big white band that goes down the outside of the thigh. Lateral thigh, which means by the pinky side. I think they have a number. Oh, is that, what is that? 18 as well? 19?
19.
19.
Is it 19 or 18?
19.
If you can read it. So big white stripe, because it's not a, this isn't the muscle, like the belly part. It's an aponeurosis, a tendinous part. So that's why we're going to call it structure. So I would point here, and I would say, what structure is this? Iliotibial tract. So it won't be what muscle. What structure is this? Iliotibial tract. All of that white stripe, 19, that goes down the side.
Then which number is the gluteus medius?
Oh, gluteus medius. Well, that was on the mini muscle man.
So there's no number.
Yeah, that's right. No number on the medius.
There's no
Use the mini muscle man when you.
For
it's
medius.
the upper,
Medius.
And
upper butt,
probably
the lower back.
maximus.
And this is the maximus.
Okay, everybody found iliotibial tract? Okay. So let's go to page 189. And we already did 2. While we're working together, we might as well look at question 1. What are 3 antagonists of gluteus medius? First off, what does gluteus medius do?
Abduct.
It abducts the thigh. So its antagonist would adduct it, ADD.
So it's
So you put your 3 adductors.
Magnus.
Yep, adductor magnus,
and the
adductor
gracilis.
longus, and gracilis. The bottom 3 on page 187. Yep.
You know the muscles that like come together, like they're all together.
Those are synergists that work together. So these were antagonists. Ab and adduction, 2 opposite functions. Okay, so let's review. Find these on your model.
Sorry.
Show me the sartorius.
These things are heavy.
Nope. Sartorius. Yes.
This
Skinny.
skinny.
Line. Yes. There. Sartorius. Good. Show me the gracilis.
I think the middle.
Yeah.
I think that's this one. The
Gracilis. Good. Good. Show me the iliacus.
Oh, that.
Get inside. Get inside
thing?
though. Yep.
So it's the whole surface?
It's mostly the lateral side. It's actually the lateral side. So anything right here. Yeah, not there.
So say that.
Over here.
So
Yep,
lateral.
side.
So this
Yep.
side.
The lateral side.
And you're only seeing some of it. Get on top.
this is the medius.
To the outer side?
Oh, this medius.
Yeah, but
so
I
this
want
side,
this is
this side.
iliacus is
Iliacus
lateral, but
is
in here.
In
Towards
here.
this way.
Yeah.
it's closer
So
to
meaning
the
it's not the whole top.
not the whole top.
Just stay on the lateral portion.
Not the edge.
Yeah.
Just stay on the lateral portion.
More on the
Yep,
edge.
exactly.
Just think of the smooth, the smooth part
You're not seeing
right here.
Yeah, the smooth part of it.
You're just seeing certain parts. Same with the psoas major. Where's the psoas major? You only see a little bit of that. That's coming down from the lumbar
one?
vertebrae.
This thing?
Yep, just a little bit right by the sartorius.
Psoas major.
So the psoas major,
This thing.
Yes. So it's major.
Got
Just
that?
have a little bit right
So
here.
it's major.
It's a number. The number is
It's underneath.
But
She's
she's
not
not
gonna
gonna show
move
us. She's not gonna show us. She's gonna leave it on. So it's above number 84.
Yeah, I've been trying to take it off, but I don't want to break it.
Sartorius.
Yeah, and we're gonna have it with the sartorius on anyway.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It
So
won't be
find the
removed.
sartorius and know that it's right next to it.
Sartorius is the
Where
24th.
is the adductor magnus? Adductor magnus.
Adductor magnus.
Magnus.
It has a name on it.
Adductor. So that means when you adduct,
where
these
is
should be in the inner thigh.
Where is the inner thigh? And then
Yes.
this is medial.
It's posterior to the gracilis.
It's on the medial side.
Are you okay?
Where is that?
You know adductor magnus I mean?
Yeah, it's right here.
Adductor
Okay,
magnus
adductor
is
magnus?
right under the.
Yes, posterior.
Yeah,
And then
that-
adductor
This is
longus
28.
in the front.
No back,
Right in the front.
because the gracilis.
Yeah, the magnus
Yeah.
and then the
28.
longus right here. The longus
Yeah.
and then the
Yes.
magnus.
This
I mean, when you look at it, you'll see
So
the
this
toes.
adductor
pointing
magnus.
forward, so you
Adductor
know.
Yep, exactly. You want to use that big toe
gracilis,
to know what's
adductor
medial,
magnus,
what's not.
and adductor longus.
Where's the tensor fascia latte?
Oh,
Coffee muscle, tensor fascia latte. Yep, just
Number
the part
18.
on the outside.
Hold on real quick.
Number
Adductor
18.
magnus is
What is that? Track.
Yep,
Number
tensor fascia
18.
latte.
On the outside?
the longest is 26.
Yep. Tensor fascia latte.
Number 18. Where is it? Right here.
Yep. Good.
Tensor fascia latte. Right here. So it's for the medial.
Okay.
Lateral.
If we point to gluteus medius, where are we gonna go?
The meat.
Wait, which one did you say?
Gluteus
Oh, medial
medius.
above.
I'm gonna
It's
use
above.
the mini muscle man.
Superior. I mean,
Yes.
inferior.
Yes, gluteus medius,
superior.
mini muscle man. Good.
The
Good.
top butt.
Yes.
Right.
Anywhere underneath
Top butt.
there, but not yes. But on the orange part.
Not on the orange?
Yes, on the orange part. Yes, perfect,
And
perfect.
the gluteus
And the
maximus,
maximus is the actual butt.
Yes.
That's
the meat.
Okay, go to page 190 now. 190. These are muscles that move the leg. Remember, the leg is
190.
between knee and ankle only. You can only do 2 actions with the